our 311 center moved from the Department of Neighborhoods, touchy-feely, love the neighbors, into the Department of Emergency Management Agency that's very paramilitary. Everything is numbered, everything is black and white. You know, what we do is very gray. I met with the director of that department, and the first thing he was interested in was our stats. And so I had my little Excel spreadsheet, showed it to him, and he looked at our wait time, which was, I'm going to guess our average wait time, this has been about 6 years ago, was probably 18, 20 seconds, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And he said, this is unacceptable. You have to get this down below 12 seconds. And it took a long time for me that day to convince him that people will wait longer than 12 seconds to complain that their garbage was missed. I won't wait longer than 12 seconds to complain that my loved one is on the floor having a heart attack. So he eventually looked at me and he said, well then, why do you even measure this, or why do you measure that? And he said his logo is to count what counts. And that's what I tried to live by, because we can get inundated with numbers and stats and so forth. So I titled this Counting What Counts. I want to get into sharing, because this is our roundtable. You know, when we first started 16 years ago, we had about this many people who just casually got together in Lexington, Kentucky. And we had no presentations. We just met because we all were passionate about what we did. And we, after having some discussions, we moved all the tables out of the way and we got our chairs in a circle. And we just sat and said, what do you do about this and how do you do this? So that's what I want to continue to do in here, as I know that some of us did yesterday. So I have just a couple basic questions to get us started, and then it's up to all of us just to share back and forth. Three main questions is, what do we measure? What do we do with those measurements? And does it really matter? Again, counting what counts. So just to get started with you all sharing with each other is a question, what do you all think is the most important metric that we measure? And do we do it well? Do we measure it well? So any suggestions, any ideas, any opinions on what y'all think the most important thing is that we measure in our contact centers? Yes.
I feel like what it should be right now for me, and is not, is channel shifting. So with the introduction of social media and mobile apps and more self-service, chatting, we haven't implemented that yet, but how does that save? How much money does that save? How much staff time does that save?
Yeah, and first of all, I don't have answers to these questions. This is open discussion, so I'm counting on you all to help out and to answer.
So anybody want to start off? Give me some examples of some challenges, some successes when it comes to employee engagement. Monica.
Empowerment. I would love to hear how you empower your team.
Anybody else?
I have the challenge of, while our team feels like a family and passionate about serving the citizen, not all of the other departments that we have to work with do, and they don't provide the level of customer service that we do. Their standards aren't as high, and it really brings their morale down when they know they're doing the best that they can, but they're not getting that backup from these other departments that I do not control.
Okay. So as you can see, I'm just starting to write down. So these are like the pros and these are the cons, or these are the challenges. You know, the lack of inclusion, the lack of support, lack of a team, environment. So I'm going to just share a few examples, and Monica and Shannon have already heard me talk, so if you guys think I'm forgetting something, please. So was very fortunate to have been promoted from within. So I was a line employee, I was promoted from the ranks. And our former mayor thought enough of me to bring me into his office and say, you know, we've got a real issue with customer service, we need to change the culture. And I think you're the right person for the job. I just need to know if you're up for the challenge, because he said, trust me, it's going to be a challenge. So our Department of Public Utilities has 7 divisions, 750 employees, largest department in the city. And the mentality was customer service was defined to a unit. You know, you've heard that mantra, it's not my job, not my responsibility. No matter what concern, what challenge came up, everybody routed the problem to the customer service unit and in essence passed the buck. And so it was really hard for the unit, the department, to be successful, because imagine if you're the customer service representative and you just, it's like a beat down mentality. You're never be given any reward, never instant recognition. You know, you feel defeated before you almost even walk in the door and you know, take your first call. So what I did was I took a leap of faith and I accepted the challenge, and next month it'll be 5 years that I'm manager of customer service.
Hootsuite's a great tool. Sprout Social is another one. Hootsuite is nice because you can start with the freemium or free plan. The next plan up, I think, is like $9 or $10 a month.
It's really reasonable.
It's really affordable. They do have an enterprise plan that's pretty expensive and probably more than what most contact centers need, at least initially. But it's nice to be able to go through that. Sprout Social's pricing is a little bit different. I think it's maybe starting around $39 a month, and there's like a $59 a month plan or whatever. But that's a really great tool. You were talking about analytics. Sprout Social really excels at analytics, so that's nice. And what's cool is you can have, you might have multiple Twitter feeds, or Facebook pages, or other social accounts, Instagram and so forth, and you can connect all of those to this one platform, whether it's Hootsuite or Sprout Social, and you can share information that way, but you can also do some of the proactive monitoring. I guess one question I have is, for those that are not doing social as much as you want to, what are the barriers? Is it time? Is it staff training? Is it maybe city or county leadership that's kind of standing in the way? What are some of the challenges or barriers that you're facing?
All of that.
All of that. Okay. I think for a lot of folks, and that back to the tools for a second on Hootsuite and Sprout Social, I think that's one of the arguments too, is that can help manage the time constraints that staff might have. It helps to have kind of that bird's eye view, if you will, being able to manage multiple accounts. I think that can help with that issue. Training is definitely a challenge, because I think some agencies want to do more, but they're concerned about, this person may be terrific on the phone, or even doing SMS or web chat, but they don't know how to use Twitter or Facebook. They might even use it personally, but it's kind of a different animal when you're actually trying to use it as the agency standpoint. I always enjoy, and Angel can speak to this too, it's so great when you're actually proactively monitoring some of these Twitter feeds or whatever it may be. Sometimes people are talking about the city, but they're not necessarily talking to the city, and they might be complaining about an ice-covered sidewalk or whatever the case may be. And then so it's kind of fun to jump into that conversation. It's a public conversation and say, thank you so much for reporting this. We're going to submit this to 301. Here's the service request number, and people can be sometimes delighted by that. They were just really complaining, and they might have mentioned the word evidence, and that's how we picked up on it. And then we were able to add that.